ADMAP is Association of Digital Marketing Professionals, the top professional marketing organization in Nigeria. And what we do is together some of the best and most experienced digital marketing professionals to form a community. We also interact with other relevant marketing and government organizations to try to steer the growth of the digital industry in the right directions, as well as ensure that there is lots of learning, operation, and also advancement of careers in marketing industry. So that is what ADMAP is in a nutshell, right? We're very strong on community. We support each other beyond beyond just career. We also we've also had situations where we've come to the aid and to ensure the welfare of our members, right? We ensure that there's lots of knowledge sharing, opportunity sharing. So we also share lots of job opportunities and growth networking opportunities within ADMAP, right? So yeah, urging all of you, if you're not a member, to please come and be part of ADMAP community. Be a professional member within ADMAP. There are lots of benefits. So for it, you get a certificate of membership that's recognized in the industry to become an ADMAP member. You get to be part of trainings like you also get access to ADMAP's knowledge and research. You get access to ADMAP's community, exclusive jobs, trainings, and our newsletter written by professional members and sharing the most interesting and trending topics in the digital marketing industry, right? So how are the types of memberships that you can be part of in ADMAP? So first of all, at the lowest level, we have the associate. So for you to become an associate member, it means you are still new in the industry, but you are well. So with or without a digital certification, you can be part of ADMAP. You'll be an associate member, and if you are experienced digital marketer with at least 3 years of experience and you have a DMI or CMI certification or other related digital certification, then professional member is for if you are a recognized digital marketing training or educational, then the educational membership is for you. But if you are who is either an agency, brand, advertiser, or a digital product, then the corporate member is for you. So all you have to do to become an ADMAP member is go to ADMAP's website, www.admap.com. Choose your membership, fill in your form, and make your payments. We'll get in touch with you and begin our onboarding for you, right? So learning and development is one of the things that we take very seriously and very importantly, because the digital marketing industry is fast changing and evolving, right? There are new trends and things, it's new strategies, new platforms, new tools, so many happening, right? Which is why we take learning and development serious. So we've had, this month has been a very busy and intensive month for us in terms of we've had to learn, relearn, and unlearn, right? We talked about a lot of interesting topics, like from very experienced from very experienced professionals, right? One of it was understanding programmatic advertising, which was led by Nelson. If you've been part of the digital market world or community, Nelson is one of the top media buyers out there. Helps with Opera and other on other digital companies, right? We also had a session with one of your members and one of our senior members, Toby, who led another session that talked about growth marketing. Toby, one of the leading growth marketers in Nigeria and UK, probably even globally, right? So we also had another session about building your brand, either your business brand or your personal brand, getting the right tools to use to grow your brand with another of our facilitators, Chukwudi. And we also shared some insights from Cannes Lions, which is one of the largest advertising events in the world by its Nengi Akinola. And another big dog in the industry who is director of digital in one of the biggest advertising in West Africa, right? Muyiwa Aleshino, he talked about digital appreciation for CMOs, and another very interesting digital media and buying session with one of the leading media buyers and planners who has over 7 years planning some media buying activities for the top companies in Nigeria, right? And today we are with one of the big industry OGs, a man of timber and caliber in the marketing industry. I'm not even sure I'm qualified enough to introduce Mr. Joshua Akinbanjo to us today. He's going to be taking us on this very interesting topic called best practices. And Joshua is more than right to discuss this topic. He is well read. He has a BSc in economics, MBA in marketing. He into data. He has led very big organizations in various cities. He has worked with Insights, Coca-Cola, Glow, Main One, and a number of companies. He's currently the Chief Growth and Marketing Officer at Numove Quest West Africa, right? So today he's going to be our facilitator for this very interesting course. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm passing over the mic to Mr. Joshua Akinbanjo. Thank you very much. I think your mic is mute.
Yes, pardon me. I actually forgotten that I muted previously.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing great. I would like to hear everybody actually speak, if you don't mind, to respond, so I can know that you didn't just come on board and let me just be watching your profile. I hope Feyi is on board. I can see Feyi Akinola, Pascal, Ebere Chukwu, and Nadi. Is Ifeanyi also fully with us? Ifeanyi Otunji, Samantha, Ndifon. Are we all on board? Can I just get a response, please? Just a hi will do. Not type, but let me just hear your voice. Then we can mute afterwards. Titilayo, Tanimola.
We're here. This is Ifeanyi Otunji. We're here.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good
Sheila,
morning. Pascal. We're good.
Pascal, good to meet you.
Good morning, Sheila.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay.
Umar, Jimo is there. Shedrack Obo.
Good
I think
morning.
I see Watermark. Watermark is on board. Great.
Good morning.
All right. Good morning. I just want to be sure that we're all alive and stronger. Don't mind the economy or don't mind whatever is around you. Just let's be focused and empower ourselves. It's a great thing to be able to benefit from this. I'm talking about you guys now, benefiting from this through ADMAP. I think in the last couple of days, I've had to do some reviews, check, some of the sessions that I've been taking. I hope you are part of all those sessions and you're actually taking the right notes, getting yourself prepared for a better tomorrow. So good morning. I'm going to shoot in a moment. Let me share my slide while we talk. I plan to do this within an hour because of a couple of things I still need to go and do. I'm supposed to be somewhere speaking at about 12:30. I hope I can make it up there. Can you see my slide? Please let me confirm if you can see my slide.
Yes, it's live.
Okay, great. All right, so we said we are looking at account management best practices. I would have loved a conversational session because I like to get some feedback, but it might not be easy to do that. So I'm just going to scroll through and talk through some of these. Please, the session we are taking, and that's what I always tell my students at LBS, is not theory, neither is it some hypothesis. We've done theory in school. Now we are focused on practice. Okay, so I will try as much as I can to share real life experience that can actually help every one of us to add value, not just to our company first, but to ourselves. And then to our company where we work, our agency, our businesses where we work, and then to the clients that we are serving. And if you're a business owner on this platform, it's also very important to state that the intention for this session is to see how it actually empowers you. Because as I'm going through this, I may talk through some things on leadership because it's very key. If you have a team or you're a team in a company, you should understand one thing, that if you are an account management person or you are in the account management function, you are actually the business driver. You are the business driver. And as such, see it from this point of view that you are the pillar on which that business must excel and that business must enjoy sustainability. Account management, the way I've seen a few people do it, even in my last role, one of the places I went to, just to consult for them, and I was operating as a CEO up until I think February. You'll see agency guys will come, and there are account management people that come are acting like they are errand boys or errand girls. Account management is not an errand boy or errand girl, function. It is not. It's actually the most pragmatic, most critical, and most important role in that organization. And it is so because of these three reasons. Number one, I always say to people that there are three key business goals. So when you get into that business, you should be looking at three key business goals. Number one, recruitment. Whether you're recruiting new clients through pitches or you're recruiting clients who you just approach directly without a pitch and they like your session and they like your company or they've heard about you. Or perhaps they just, someone just recommended and they didn't bother checking anything, but they come on board. So recruitment, your key driver, your key motivation should be how do you bring in new business to your system? Then the next important one is retention. If that business must survive, it is upon you. It's on your shoulder, or your shoulders rather, to make sure that the business is able to retain those clients and retain the businesses. And when you talk of recruitment and then you talk about retention, these two together are the critical pillars that will help you achieve the third goal, which is revenue. At the end of the day, what the business is looking for, what the owners are looking for, what the stakeholders are expecting is that you are giving them value for their investment. And so when you see yourself as an account manager, forget another role that is in the system. You're automatically the chief operating officer. You're automatically the business strategist. You're automatically the creator, the creative expert. You are also automatically, in that same vein, the core operator of innovation. Okay, so everything you do should actually be tied towards what I've just said. I'm going to take you through a few of those responsibilities or those roles that account management represents in the system very shortly. But in case you don't have my number, you need to have my number, please. And my students will tell me, if you know any of them in LBS, they'll tell you I'm very open. Feel free to ask questions, even after this session. But mostly, I prefer if you just text me on WhatsApp. That's my WhatsApp line. Okay, if you need any clarification or you want some further insight, feel free. But if you start going to the level of depth of business, bros, my sister, I will charge you. If it is primarily about your career or some challenge, yes, I can give you one or two advice and counsel. My desire is to see people move forward. Okay, this is my principle. It's my value to see how I mentor people and help people to move forward. I do it to my team. I do it to my staff. So it is not an issue at all for me. So please don't ask of my number afterwards, because I get that a lot. People will say, let's see what the guy will do. And when it's over, they'll now say, can I have your number? So you won't get this number again after now. So if you don't have it, take it down and let's have some fun. Now, if you are in this role, this is the first thing I tell guys to remember. Irrespective of the brand you manage, you are first of all the problem solver. Your role is that of one who actually need to drive consumers to connect with the business or the brand moment. So if you don't have this, or your client didn't give you this, one of the things I always tell people to do is this: it does not matter the kind of business. If they don't have it, create it for them. Okay? It's what you simply call the brand archetype. I look at it also, I call it the business archetype. It will help you to understand. And if you don't give you, ask them, for instance, as your starting point as an account management person, what is the vision of the brand? What is that brand aiming to be? What is the role of that brand? Or what is the purpose of that brand or that business? The lives of the people that it is trying to address. Because you get into business to do two things. You're either meeting a need or you are creating a need. But my quintessential account management people, I say to them that if you are not creating needs, then you are not fit for that role. And you are going to see one of the high point of this by the time we go through a guy's life in a moment. I'm sure most of you know Steve Jobs. For a lot of you, some people think he's a designer. He was never a designer. He was actually an account management person who was so focused on innovation and also focused on ownership. In other words, entrepreneurship. So make sure you understand that business. See, if anybody doesn't know anything in that system, you must know everything. The account management function is one that you are the Mr. or Miss Know-all of the business. You should wake up and somebody should say, ask you a question about the brand. You should be able to tell them, even to the depth of talking about even figures. You should be able to know, for example, the brand you are managing, what is their market share versus competition. Are we together, guys? If you can respond by text, that's okay for me. So your job should be that of the guy who knows it. You are the one who is driving the client. In fact, the client is depending upon you. That's why I use the word, I said problem solver. Okay? You are the one driving the business. You are the one driving everything about that. Everything that has to do with that business is around you. Your sleeping thought, your waking thought, your walking thought, your eating thought, your imagination thought is about that brand. And the key part for you to have that better understanding is you going beyond whatever the client gave you. which is why normally, I mean, when I train my team, when I moved into Insight, for example, after leaving the client side, to come over, the first thing I did in my first year was to train my team. All right. I was training them to become thoroughbred marketing practitioners, because that is the role of an account management person. You are not just someone who facilitates process between client and and the agency or your business. You are not just a relationship manager. You are not just a client service person who just gets briefs and delivers creative. No, your job is that of a marketing expert. Your job is that of a leader. Your job is that of an innovator. Your job is that of an ideator. Your job is critically the person who enables profit and loss. You are managing P&L in the system. I'm not sure because I can't see the platform again since I'm on slideshow. But if there's any of my team, I'm sure some of them will be on this platform right now, who have worked with me, they will tell you that one of the key things I like to do is to train my people. They must know better than me. And all this thing I'm saying, which I've known, they must know better, because that is actually what earns you respect from your client. You don't go as a Mr. Know-all to talk to the client, no. But you actually show that you know all by knowing the brand. Your job is not to contest to the client to say, I know it or I don't know it. The client knows his business. Where you want to earn the respect of that client is when you can show him or her that you understand the vision of the brand and you understand the ambition, which is what you have at the base. And so if you have this clear understanding, the ability to become the driver of user or consumer connection moments becomes easy for you. And that's why I say to guys, I say, listen, you must understand what John Locke said. He said the discipline of desire is the background of character. Do you have the desire to be so disciplined to be a leader? Because that is the bottom line of who you are and what you are. So when you hold a business as the planner, as a business initiator, as a business director, as a business owner, it doesn't matter if they call you account executive. So don't let that one bother you. All right? If you can grasp all this thing I'm saying, you can fit into any system, any industry, any sector. There are some of us who will say, oh, some clients are so arrogant, they are this. So this is their call, let them be. You earn their respect when you start showing this knowledge and this level of results and performance. They will come down from their high horse. One of my former bosses, Dr. Michael Adenoga, will always say, lower your shoulder. He will tell us to lower our chest when it feels like you're getting arrogant. I used to be in this think tank, 6-month think tank. And one of the things I always like to say then is, look, it's about results. If you deliver results, you earn respect. So like I said previously, your role and the importance of that role as an account management person is that of a nurturer, a business leader. You are the one who assures the company of the certainty of revenue. You are a relationship manager. You are a sales leader. And one thing that you must understand is that for you to become this, you must be very passionate about knowledge and insight and focused heavily on research, because that is then what makes you to become a strategist. And this doesn't just fall out anyhow. So in that business, let's use an example of a brand. Any brand. Can anyone just mention any brand? Any brand at all? Are you with me? Please just give me a brand. I want us to use that brand as as a reference point.
So someone said Pepsi.
Pepsi. Oh, fantastic. All right. So that was one of my most recent brands. So I think 2 years ago, my agency handled the Lagos City Marathon, for them. And I think I have a few of my guys who are with them now. Proudly, I see what they do, and I'm so excited for at least one of them that I know very well. Wonderful young man. Now let's take Pepsi. It's your business to manage Pepsi, right? So the question you want to ask yourself are this. Number one, what does this brand stand for? What is the vision of the brand? You must make this, whether the client gave you or not, you have to have a desire, a hunger to know it with passion. Then you want to ask yourself, which market? So when you say which markets, you are talking about the territories, whether they are operating in clusters or they are operating as a growth market or whatever. Look at Nigeria, for example, as a business, as a market. I once handled a brand that's also in this field. I was managing it across Nigeria and West Africa markets then. And we realized that there was a major challenge with that business. Just about 2 weeks ago, I was in a church and I was sharing it in my church, because we have a business session in my church. And then we ask ourselves, so what is it that will help us to drive sales and grow the revenue base and extend the market share and then accelerate category leadership? And so what did we have to do? It was to now start testing different consumers to see their preference of our brands. Whether the client is doing it or not, as an agency, you can actually inspire conversations that will make you have a toe in water kind of research, which some of us call deep dive. Imagine you do that and you have that research feedback about the market, which will help you to understand the consumers or the customers. No, the customers are those traders, they trade, they are wholesalers or distributors. The target consumers are those who actually consume, who drink the product. So you need to know the difference. All right. So all those people who owns all those big shops, warehouse and all that, and they store those things, those are your customers. And the ones who actually buy from them and consume, use it directly, are the ones you call your consumers. Now, knowing the market, understanding how the market is, helps you to understand now how to reach those consumers and how to identify them. So then imagine that Pepsi have Mirinda, have Super Commando, have all those other range of brands. You're able to dissect them because you've done what you may call a taste test. You've also been able to understand the preference test. You've also been able to to do what you may call a brand analysis. And in doing that, it helps you then to be able to say, you know what, I can now understand their route to market. In other words, how do I reach those consumers? Which channel do I have to go through? Do I want to go through open market or I want to go through modern trade? Do I want to go directly or do I want to have event sponsorship? So all of these things start coming through. Most of us have this mindset that because you say digital, so you just go social media or just go, across a data platform. It's not always the case. You must be the leader of that client, which is why sometimes I tell agencies that are purely digital that you must understand the importance of your 360-degree channels. If you don't understand it, you will be wasting your time just thinking that when you're designing strategy for your clients, you just be focusing on, the social platforms. That's never going to work. You need to always ask yourself, how do you create content, platforms, and events, or even activations that will help you draw content that is going on your social media platforms? There are some clients that will just say, oh, we are just digital first. If their business is not purely online, then it is fallacy for you to imagine that you are just supposed to be on digital. Big fallacy. Okay? So I'm talking to the account management, functions within this conversation point now. And it doesn't matter which unit you belong to. You should start wearing these hats at this point in time. Doing this would then help you to understand what is the competitive landscape of Pepsi, for example, of Mirinda, of 7-Up. And so you start asking yourself, how do I address this competition? Because you've been able to engage those customers, you've seen the consumers, you've been to the market, you understand the route to market, you will then realize that your focus should not be on those competition. Don't make the mistake of saying, oh, this guy just threw one fly up now, let's go and trade fly up. That is not how it works. How it works is that you now start asking, what can you do for that brand to help that brand satisfy the consumers? That is when you know that you are now fully, of value to that client, of value to that business, and that's when you start to earn their respect. And then you now see that with that action, results are now coming out, which you can start showing to say, look, this is our deliverable, and this is how we've helped this brand to move 1 notch or 2 notches up by way of share points. And that is how our market share start to expand. And having said that, if you are not familiar with the marketing mix, which is what is at the top there, then you need to ask yourself a second question. Are you really supposed to be in that role? But thankfully, what we're doing this morning is supposed to help you understand how to then bring this to life. Some people will tell you there are 4 P's of marketing or 7 P's. I always say, guys, stick with your original classical 4 P's. Anything you want to do out of that is an offshoot of those 4 P's. If you like, have 13, have 14, doesn't matter. Some have come up with these 7 P's. The key point is that how do you expatiate on price, expatiate on product, expatiate on place and promotion to help the brand to grow and to amplify? That is what you need to have as critical points. Let's hear this guy. And I hope that by the time we are done with this, we can talk through a bit of, those call them those traits or character that should be, critical to your role as an account manager. So let's play this, and then we're going to move from here into more practice now. I hope you can hear the audio.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Sorry, I think you have not been moving your slides.
Hold on. Did the video play just now?
No. It's still on your first slide.
Oh, are you serious? I've been moving my slide incidentally. I'm actually on the...
Unless it's just me. Yes, I think others are saying the same thing.
Are you kidding me? Wow. I was actually on the 6th slide already. But did you hear the video play?
We heard the video, but we are not on the slide.
Are you kidding me? Can you see slides now? Is it showing? I'm on the 4th slide again. Can you see the 2nd slide?
We are still on the cover page.
Something is wrong somewhere. Let me go out and then reshoot again. Okay?
All right.
I've actually been on this. I'm on the 7th slide incidentally. That means it wasn't moving all the while. Let's do that again. What did... That's crazy. Can you see the slide now?
Yes, it's moving now.
It's moving. Okay, let me take it to slideshow again and see if it moves, because it was on slideshow earlier. Is it moving now?
It's not moving.
Okay, it means I may not be able to use the slideshow then, so I'll just leave it on. I guess because I was on slideshow, but that shouldn't have been a problem. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, and you can see this?
Yes.
Okay, again?
Yes.
It shouldn't have been a problem now. What happened there? And you see the next slide?
Yes. What video now?
Can you see the video now?
Yes, we are on the video.
Okay. But that's strange. You should be able to play on move on slideshow.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may...
Pardon me there.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Okay. So, Prince Will, you will need to help me at the back end, okay? I hope everyone is seeing the slide now.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I will just run through, since you missed the previous one, I was just going to run through quick, just pap. So if you need to have any question, please feel free to stop me and ask. I took us through this. So when I was talking about phone number, everybody kept quiet and you are not seeing the number. Nobody raised anything. Okay, that's my profile. Is that okay? I can move. I'm not talking through any of them again. Can I move?
Yes, please.
Thank you. And then I took us through this when I was talking about what you need to know as critical function to the business, how you are core as a pillar to the business, and how you must, if you don't, you just have to know this. You just have to know this. You just have to invest your time yourself to help your business, help the owners of your business, and help your team because they are depending upon you. This must be the fulcrum of how you run the business. Whether there is a CEO there or there is a COO, you need to have a mentality that that is your role. And knowing this is what you need to be able to lead the client because you're a problem solver to that business, to that client. You are the one helping the client to drive momentum. They don't know. If they know, they won't call you. They won't call your office or your agency. Okay. And then I took us through this where I talk about, just more like a summary of what that role represents. I hope the slide is moving.
Yes, it's moving.
Okay. Okay, then I took us through this where I talk about the 4 Ps and 7 Ps. And I said that the core, the classical 4 Ps will ever remain relevant. Everything will always be an offshoot of it. You can, from this, come up with even 20 Ps. The critical point is that you are able to amplify what place represents. You're able to improve on what product represents. You're able to grow on what promotion represents and what price represents. And then I said that the core of whatever you do, that discipline of desire is the background of character. You must have that desire. You must be disciplined about it to want to know. You must be the one who knows, but not the one who is arrogant to push what you know into people's faces. You must be humble enough to want to learn, but hungry enough to want to know, because your team depends on you. And that's actually what brings me to this, this next slide. So when I after watching that video, so what got to me was I was having some musings. I was interacting with Meta AI and also with Binge, asking some questions from Copilot. Want to know guys who are, who you could call thoroughbred account management people. And that was how Steve Jobs just stood out. Even when you look at him, the critical point about Steve Jobs is that he's a visionary entrepreneur and an inventor, a designer. But that is not actually where it all. That is what he is because he was a co-founder of Apple and Pixar Animation Studios back then. But these 4 things stood him out, and this is actually a account management function. When I now try to rate him over 10, we discovered that 6 out of 7 of that score went to him as an account management person. And that's why I was saying to you guys earlier that your job, you are the driver of the business. You cannot wait, for example, for a client to give you a brief. If you know anyone within that worked in Insight when I was at Insight, or give me way back, when Prima Garnet was Prima Garnet, they will tell you, my team does not wait for brief from clients. We actually create brief. We'll sit down, debate, review, we'll go to the streets. Sometimes you go into a bank and sit down and be watching. And from there, we craft out brief. I make sure that the guys understand the meaning, what that means, because that is actually where you can say you are useful to the company. That's where you can say that you are relevant to the business. Because the clients most times do not even know what is going on the streets. So part of what you do, before they will be calling maybe AC Nielsen or when Millwall Brown, or calling, what's their name again, Ipsos, you can do a toe in the water kind of research to understand what the mindset of the consumers are. You can even meet with customers. I told us what a customer is and who consumers are. Your job should be the guy who is actually, going ahead of the client, not waiting for a client's brief. I see some agencies and I see some clients who will say, some account management folks who will sit down and say, we are waiting, clients have not given us brief. But the reason why you're in that company is not for you to wait for the client to give you a brief. I hope this is really getting clear to us. If you are in that system, you are not sitting down to generate brief, to look at, search out problems that the brand is having. Sometimes call the client and say, how was your sales last week? How was it last month? How was it last quarter? If you compare what you made this time last year with this time this year, would you say you have improved? If they say no, then you should ask question, what is the reason? What happened? They will be able to tell you because you are a solutions provider to them. And if you're able to do that, then you start earning the respect of that client. It is when you are giving solutions to the client that the client will be willing, and I mean willing with every sense of responsibility, willing to pay for every service you give. But if you are just waiting for them to give every time they are the ones giving you brief before you can wake up from your chair, that means you're an armchair agency. You are not yet dynamic. So you are selling it, you are a dinosaur brand. So I deliberately put these two, just for some sort of alignment here. The Chameleon brand is that brand that is dynamic, that is actually digital, that is, innovative, that is inventive, that is exciting. You're not sitting down, say, I know everything. If the client doesn't move, I don't move. Then you don't know anything. Okay? You're not just sitting down, waiting until they say there is a crisis somewhere. In fact, search for the crisis. And in this modern age, you don't even need to say you want to meet a need again. You should be creating needs. So how much needs have you created for? I'll give a good example. I'm sure some of us will, and if some of those team who work with me back then are on this call right now, I don't know. But you remember when a particular brand came into the market, that brand was called Too Sure. Here was COVID about to hit Nigeria. A few days later, they said some people had problems when they went to, I think it's AMVC. I don't know if some of you remember, because, sometimes we forget those things, but I don't forget things like that. And we should not forget those hard times, because it should help us to be more hungry. And by the time you will say Jack Robinson, they now said, oh, there was somebody who was a carrier who was at that event and the thing was spreading. And exactly March 17, 2020, I walked into the office of the general manager then, who was also marketing director, rather, for Pepsi. And I then said to him, I went to one of my team members. I said, we could do something for you guys. COVID is coming. We don't sure what is going on. But from what we are hearing across Europe, Asia, it's very clear that this thing will become a disaster. And so, we need to look at sanitization. How do you apply sanitizers to everything you do? Let me let you know that before this time, I had actually spoken with somebody in Nigerian breweries, because we thought they are dealing with spirit, so they should be able to, jump on it. But what did they do? They took it lightly. And I was hungry for this thing to get somewhere. On that day, this was like around 11, 12. March 17, 2020, I walked into that guy's office and I presented this to him, and he took it seriously. Don't forget, they were not dealing with spirit at that time at all. Okay? And they saw an opportunity and came on it. And it was in that COVID time that the brand was launched. And a few days later, what happened? Nigeria was locked down. And today, that brand has become one of their major big revenue driver. So when you say you are in account management, are you looking at your client's business to see how you can help them create value? Help them to create solutions. Help them to drive opportunities. Your job should not be just saying you want to meet their needs. Create needs, because there's a huge level of needs in this age of technology that people will jump on when they see it. Nobody thought, for example, that they could be paying money, online with ease. It was under COVID. Some guys who had thought about it 3 years before that time went to bed. That is a lot. They went to sleep. And when COVID came, when they should have benefited heavily for it, they were sleeping when it happened. Others like Kuda and Co jumped on it and they made big money out of that season. Because you can't go to market and spend more. Nobody could go out. So the only way you could transact at that point in time was also to now go through your app and mobile payment platforms. So if you are there, one of the agencies of those brands, how did you help them? Every solution you give to the client brings more money to your agency. Every idea you share with the client brings more money to your agency. And I hope this is helping us in terms of our resetting of our thinking heart. I thought I should share this, experience that's I found very exciting. Every time I talk to my students at LBS, I'm always quick to want to share this, Coke story, with some of them. And some of us may have seen this before. If you look at the first, the right side of this slide, you see a guy jogging, and he looked very refreshed, looked, like someone who is active and alive. And then the next thing, you see him drinking Coke. And then after he drank Coke, he collapsed. This is where, previously I mentioned the importance of, consumer insight, knowledge and insights, talked about being passionate about research, right? He was seen as the quintessential salesman at that time. And apparently this guy have driven sales for Coke massively across Europe and other countries. So they called on him and said they should come and help them apply that same skill, to lift their brands and lift the numbers so that we can grow sales. And what happened to him? He came with the same strategy he has used every other place. And before he could say Jab Robinson, he was already selling across Middle East. So the Middle Easterners have that problem of slow sales. That's why they called him. So he used this poster, and by a couple of days after, he said sales have dropped. And he felt dejected and left because he lost. For the first time in his life, he couldn't really achieve anything in the Middle East after all the success he's had across, Europe and America and everywhere. If you don't mind, I want to pause. Maybe this is one of those 2 occasions or 3 that I will just pause and ask for feedback. Can anyone tell me what the issue may have been here? Why did the sales drop, even though he has been a fantastic guy and he has this sort of experience? Can anybody please just unmute and give us an answer? Anyone?
It's because of his adaptability. He didn't adapt what was common in the Middle East. The communication which worked in another place meant something different in the Middle East.
So from your feedback, what do you think this could have meant? Why is it different since it's the same thing that they shared? What's wrong with the communication?
The communication meant a different thing for the people in the Middle East. The communication did not take into cognizance the people in question, the target audience in question.
Yes.
In the Middle East.
Yes. Okay, let me just add to it. Thank you very much. Who just spoke now?
This is Ifeanyi Otunji.
Ifeanyi, okay, thank you. Thank you. I will note it so that if I need to send a recharge card later, I can send something to you. Okay, thank you for that feedback.
Thank you so much, sir.
What the communication is actually saying is this. In those Western world, they read from left to right. So you are down on the left, you drink Coke, and you are energized, you start to jog, you start to, feel active again. He did not take cognizance of the fact that in the Middle East, they read from right to left. So in their own case, they saw that if you are active, you drink Coke, you will fall down and die. Because they read it differently. And this is where consumer insight is key. Just like I said earlier, that you don't assume that because you are a digital agency, so everything you do must be digital. And I'm going to give us a case study of what I did with Jumia. Incidentally, I think you're the president of this association, is the president or chairman, I don't know what you call Stanislaus. He worked with me during that time. And I will share the experience there. So most of the time, you need to ask questions. You need to do your own deep dive. You need to do your own toe in the water. You need to know the brand differently. So this guy lost out. Sales went down, boom. What they were doing before even made them to lose more because the winning strategy he had in Europe and the Western world that was helping him to drive sales up, he brought it to the Middle East with a total disrespect for who these guys are. He was not interested in their culture. That's why they say culture will eat strategy any day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Have all the strategy in the world. If you don't respect the culture of the people, you don't respect what consumer insights will give you, if you don't appreciate research, you will miss it totally, no matter how fantastic the idea you have is, and no matter how excellent knowledge you have. So these are some of the key points I want us to take away. If you don't even remember anything, please remember this one. And I remember in 1997, I was doing something then for Gala, 97, 98. Don't worry, the guy you're looking at is not as young as he looks, but I can tell that in my heart and everything, I'm younger than all of you. Okay. So 97, Gala was a big deal. And at that time, Mr. Biggs was the major brand. And so there was some feedback from the North that, Gala was using pork, for their content, for the condiments. And so the brand did not take quick cognizance to act on it fast. Before they could act, what happened to them? It was a negative backlash. So the communication had to become heavier to enlighten people that Gala is actually being made from beef. That is why if you look at Gala today, if you look at the wrap, you will see pure beef filling. That was actually how we came about that in 1998. Okay. And when that became a major thing, and I was a very young person. I just kept coming out of school, fresh, exciting, and everything. I was always finding myself in the street, trying to know things, trying to know more, asking questions. I would go to restaurants that I think are competition to Mr. Biggs, which was why it was easier for me. When Coca-Cola eventually called me Coca-Cola International, it was easy for me to join their team. I was in the US already with my family, relocated, when I got the offer to come back to West Africa to manage the West African market. So because that hunger was already there, it became part of my life to want to know more. And that is actually where every time I go to places, I realize that those clients actually want to listen because I'm giving them more than what they know. Not arrogantly, but showing them as partners how we can grow their business together and thereby making more money for my own, my management team and the business I was working for then. So when you have to move, always sit down to be very, very insightful about the plans you want to make. Understand, for example, what are the opportunities that are there for them? Where, if you look at the brand, among people, what would you say that, who are the people you think would benefit from that brand? In which category is that business operating? Like I always say to my team, when you take a business, ask yourself, which sector is this brand operating in? In that sector, which particular industry are they operating in? So that you can know how to craft the message, the ideas, the strategy for them. So take example, for example, if you look at the financial sector has, insurance, bank, the fintechs, merchant banks, you have the Pencom, Pensure, everything is all there. Mortgage bank is part of that sector. By the time you now scale down to industries, you now see that you have the banking industry, the insurance industry. So you don't erode your message because you are excited, you want to just do something. You have to be clear. Within that industry, they also have, segments or categories. Which category does that particular brand belong to? For example, if it's in the banking industry, is it a mortgage bank? Is it a microfinance? So in that category that they are playing, you need to be sure to deep dive. And that's why I was saying earlier when I started that the business of the business is in your hand as an account management professional. You are not an errand boy who is only waiting for the client to whistle. You are not a dog. They whistle, then you jump, go and collect the brief. You come back and you give it to your traffic. Those ones will do whatever they want to do, and then creative will say, no, I don't want like this, go and do this. No, you are the creative person who actually have to guide creative. You must have the insight to say to the creative, this is sometimes when you do a brief, and I'm giving you some of the things I did, which helped me a lot. You can give a brief and take a particular brand that is competition and say, this is the benchmark, beat this. Go deep dive into who are you trying to reach for this brand, for this client. In that category, who do you want to overtake? If your client or your brand that you are working on is number 5, target to be the number 1. So that everything you do should be aiming for you to chase that number 1. That when you are chasing the number 1, it will almost be like when you are having a race, a 100-meter race, and the person in front of you will be feeling the hotness of your breath at the back of his neck. That is how you have to. If you can't do this and you say you're an account management, you are not an account manager, you are just an errand boy, errand girl. You have to be different. I'm really charging us this morning because I want to make sure that you get out of this system, out of this session today, being fired up to excel, being fired up to become an icon in this industry, and even beyond the industry, becoming attractive to clients. Okay? And it's not just that. Within that same, what are the touch points or the channels? So I thought I should share this brand compass strategy so that you can know how to chase all of these effectively. But as I speak to that, I'm not going to dwell on this because honestly, I was thinking we would have finished, but we didn't start on time. So, and I have to leave by 12:30. I may need to stop. Okay. Consider the input. I've talked about research. And this is where your traditional and neuromarketing skills have to now come on board. Please do not ever say because you're a digital agency, just keep yourself stuck on say everything you hear is digital. Everything you do is digital. You must, if you want to make digital to work well, you must know how to handle the brand 360 degrees so that they will start respecting you. You start being the one that leads the conversation, both in the agency and at your client's end, and making your MD, your CEO proud, happy, excited at who you are and what you are doing. All right. My intention was to use this, case study of Mimi Noodles to explain what I was talking about on the neuromarketing versus the traditional. But the goal for me is here to just tell you that, look, if you miss out on research, the story could become like that of Mimi Noodles in the noodles space. If for those of you who may remember, there was a brand then called Mimi. I don't know if they still exist. At the time Mimi was there, they came up with these fantastic adverts. Mimi, boom, sha, Mimi. I like using this reference as case studies. But this is what happens. People will go and then pick the brand and they don't want to take it. They won't even want to look at it a second time. They don't even want to touch it because the taste wasn't right. As the agency person, what would you have done before they launched? I wondered if the agency people actually helped them or guided them to do a taste test. When you see some of these brands in the mall or in the market asking you to test something and they want to take feedback from you, that is the essence of such a thing, so that they can know that they are giving the consumers what the consumers need and that they are creating a need that the consumers didn't know before, but that they can benefit from. Okay. And my intention was to share this Amazon Go case study, but I may not be able to share this. I would just want to skip. We can talk through it later. But what that Amazon Go thing is doing, okay, let's just watch it. I think it's about a minute. Let's watch it, then we can speak to it.
4 years ago, we started to wonder, what would shopping look like if you could walk into a store, grab what you want, and just go? What if we could weave the most advanced machine learning, computer vision, and AI into the very fabric of a store so you never have to wait in line? No lines, no checkouts, no registers. Welcome to Amazon Go. Use the Amazon Go app to enter. Then put away your phone and start shopping. It's really that simple. Take whatever you like. Anything you pick up is automatically added to your virtual cart. If you change your mind about that cupcake, just put it back. Our technology will update your virtual cart automatically. So, how does it work? We used computer vision, deep learning algorithms, and sensor fusion, much like you'd find in self-driving cars. We call it Just Walk Out technology. Once you've got everything you want, you can just go. When you leave, our Just Walk Out technology adds up your virtual cart and charges your Amazon account. Your receipt is sent straight to the app, and you can keep going. Amazon Go. No lines, no checkout. No, seriously.
So I'll stop there. The real definition of is what you just saw. Okay? It's not just, if you're a social media agency, it's understandable. But the moment you are saying you're a digital agency, listen, that means you're offering end-to-end digital solutions to a business, to a brand. So now, in the first instance, if we take some learning, you'll notice that, I mean, the shops like Walmart, like, ShopRite, like Spar, and the likes, you might say they don't actually need anything digital. So I thought I should bring this up to talk about not just excellent communication, by way of what we discussed previously, but also a problem-solving, passion. So it's moving you away from analog to digitalism. In other words, how do you form your business? Some of you may have seen the Ambode ad when I managed the guy. 2014, December, the chairman of my company then called me and said, look, Joshua, there is a big problem and I think I need you to handle this. And then before I could know, the vice chairman had called and said, the chairman just briefed me. He said he spoke with you. I said, yes. He said, there is this guy. I don't think he is a known quantity. Nobody seemed to know him. And there's one contesting against Agbaje. Agbaje was a big deal then. Incidentally, Agbaje's daughter was working in my agency, was sitting about five, almost, let's say 20 meters from where I was seated. All right, in a massive open office. And I was overseeing this whole team then of almost 25 or so people. And so how do I handle this? We realize that if I'm going to go into this, the first thing I will do, and incidentally again, Shegun Martins worked with me on this. He was handling technology for us then. And then I said to them in the first meeting, I said, Mr. Ambode Akinwumi, forgive me, but I want to say this, that nobody knows you. You're an unknown quantity. I use my chairman's word. And the man looked at me and said, Kilon, boy, was a bit, he felt I was rude. So I had to now come back to say, I needed to jolt him. You understand? So I had to use that. I then said to him, I said, I am not saying that you're a nobody. I'm just saying that nobody knows you. You may be popular in the ministry, in the civil service in Lagos, but Lagos just don't even know who Ambode is. I said that so that you know what I want to do with you. That I'm going to achieve 3 objectives with you. Number 1, I'm going to turn you into a brand. I said, number 2, I will create massive awareness for you. And number 3, I will help you to win the governorship of Lagos State. The man looked at me and laughed. He said, is it possible? Forget it. He said, we have the money. We know what to do. We'll win it, but it's not by this. And so we left him. But Unknown to him, prior to that meeting, I have teams I've sent out into the market, into the field. I have also gone, I sat with touts. I dressed down, went to the market, we dressed down just to hear people who sample their opinion. This election that's coming, Agbaje is going to be this. Somebody will talk, we'll just scatter the thing so that we'll hear what they will say. Because that's my role. I can't be the cameraman director and I don't understand how to help the team to win. So we went out and we got all those feedback. And then we realized that, there are some youth who are not part of these people who used to vote before. And the numbers of that youth have increased, who are now adults who can vote. So we realized we have something on our head. But those youth also loved Agbaje because, JK, his campaign was so fantastic. Everything about him was so nice. The guy could speak. He had all the charisma and everything. So how do you get this guy to now win without, depending on billboard and radio and depending on, what is it called now, on posters? Okay. And that was how we now started the idea of digitization. In other words, getting the data and transforming the data into something that is useful information. And what for us, we were now pushing through to see how we can connect within the market to schools, to communities, to NYSC camps, and linking up to different age grades. Before we realized it, you said that the numbers of those youths who are now adults who never voted before was amazing. And then we now said, look, let's actually create an app. Okay, this is now where the digital came to life from analog. We have to create an app for him. Did the radio, jingle, which we immersed in that app, that if you now download the link, you can download the radio, you can download the information about this guy, you can know more about this man. And then we now had the digitalization where we now had to create a new culture, okay? Creating a new attitude, a new idea, new base. And we said, for us to now make this work perfectly, we have to have a digital transformation. So you see, we didn't just go for a digital agency. We from within, I was already working on making sure that we are fully digitized. And so I had a team who had to go from door to door, from campus to campus. While doing that, I took this guy because the man could not speak. That is the honest truth. He was an accountant all his life. I took him to the 360-degree studio where I now started teaching him, presentation skills, how to let him understand how to, gesticulate, how to stand and everything. I still have some of the videos and pictures that we took together, with him. All right. And then showing him how he needs to do this because we knew if he gets to the debate, he will flop and then people will not have interest in him, especially the youth. Like what happened between, Trump and Biden recently. So we got that all well integrated. And then I now understood, okay, and now, we've been able to create that customer concentricity. We've been able to create fantastic growth opportunities. What did I do? And I have to go for Olamide, all these other guys. What's her name now? Yemi Alade, Ice Prince, MI and Co, Flavor. Created that fantastic ad that most of you, had eventually. Ambo. What happened? We not only turned him into a brand when we did that, because we used his name, the 4 letters of his name, Ambo, to say we are coming. But remember what I said, it was not just sitting and saying digital because we are going on social media. No, we created a whole log of things that people could connect with. You have, we had all those QR codes where people can also use to download information, download everything about him. And that was actually how we started building that brand, that man. Even though when they got him, it's a different thing. Performance is not what is key, but deliver the results. So when you have a brand, remember that you're the commercial leader. You are the advertising research person. You are the account planner. You must also be focused on monitoring and evaluation. But above all, remember you are the business leader. Without you, the business will not grow. You will not earn money. Okay? Let me stop for a moment. Anybody have any question or any comments? Please feel free to just ask. If there's none, let me know there's none so we can move on. But please feel free to ask any question now. I want to make sure that you get a whole lot from this today. And even if we never get to meet again, at least you take something away and become an expert in your field. Questions? I can't see the back end, so if you can unmute and ask. And if there's none, please, you can put a note and say continue or move on. No question. All right, so let me move on. I put this slide with intention. I said, think ambitiously, think global. It does not matter how small your agency is or how small the client you are managing is. Think, if you are not ambitious as an account management person, then you're not fit to be in that business. It does not mean that you should become fake. All right. It's basically saying you are told to deliver 10 million. Why don't you push yourself and say you want to go for 25 million?
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you so much so far for the insights, and really, I'm actually a client relationships manager where I am. I want to tap into what you mentioned earlier about the fact that you recognize the problem and then talked about it, and then when you mention all of these things, we hope that it is just as it seems. But where there are challenges, like probably the client doesn't want to spend, or they're always limited with the kind of budget they have, how do you break into such spaces? Because I kid you not, I've actually tried to work with a Japanese brand. It took us 4 years to eventually get them, on their account and to get them into the Nigerian space to market their products. Now, you mentioned earlier too about culture. Now, for this Japanese, I could compare how it is working with Japanese clients and even Indians. Let me not even bring in Nigeria now. Because of the peculiarity of their, you're laughing, because of the peculiarity of where they come from, their culture, society, and all of that. I noticed that Indians will work with us, but they always want to have the upper hand. The Japanese would rather see your efforts. They want to see your works. They want to be sure that they can trust that what you're saying, you actually deliver on it exactly before they will part with their money. So that's the difference. So my question to you now is, so situations where clients want to spend, how do you gain their trust based on what you've done? And if, for instance, it's your first time, how do you get them to convert? Because like you said, we are not errand boys, and I honestly understand that. For me, I always like to take that bold step, but it could be very discouraging sometimes when they tell you that their budget is fixed, they can't add more, they can't do this, all of those things. And when it happens over time, you as a person, you're no longer resilient. You begin to withdraw, and then it's looking like, so you're not being forward. You just want to create that balance. So how do you, seeing that you have years of experience on this, what do you say to that? How do you advise that we can move with such, when situations like that happen? What's the best way to, have a win-win situation? Yeah.
Thank you. Very, very brilliant question. What's your name, please? Your full name?
Oluwatobi Dada.
Okay, Oluwatobi and Ifeanyi, can you send me a WhatsApp message to say airtime? So even if it's 2 naira airtime,
thank you. Very
just
thank you, sir.
So just send it and say airtime. So, and then put your full name so that way I know it's you. And then I send what I want to send.
All right,
and put your network also, okay?
All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. I will answer that question in a moment, but let me take the next person. Someone is trying to say something now. Please, your full name.
It was actually me. It was actually me who wanted to say something.
Okay.
Because of one of the things, I thank you so much for how far you've gone with this. It's been an exciting one, and what makes you so very well qualified is because of your wealth of experience. With all of these brands, and you've seen what it is to have limited resources and then put together slides, which probably you would have done into the night, and then you go to the client's office, and even before you get to see them, by the time you see them, you then present, and they just tell you, "Oh, come back in 6 months' time." And even when they say come back in 6 months' time, they're not even pretty sure. Probably because they have stratas of decision making. So they have those who are the ones who will see your slides, but they are not the center of power, or they see your slides, but they're not even the center of decision, and then even the center of power who will release the budget is somewhere up there, and before it will even get to him and all of that. But painting this scenario and going with the question she's even asking, I think for me, mine is quite direct. When is it time to just step aside? When is it time to just say, this client, let it just be a dinosaur kind of relationship where, they tell us what they want, we give them what they want and walk away, because sometimes these guys, they might just be seeing just towards the ceiling and they are not even ready to aim towards the stars, if you get what I mean.
Thank you. That's a very brilliant question you've asked. And in fact, you and Oluwatobi, this is a very major thing. I'll tell you two quick things. Let me answer your own first. Then I will now, from yours, go into hers. I've been talking about research, consumer insight, markets. You need to explore this with passion. With passion. In other words, you must know the business. Knowing the business is also knowing these clients. How many of you have ever, for once, especially those of you who work with some brands that are, maybe they are on the stock exchange, these have their annual report, that you have taken time to study the annual report of the previous year of your client? If you study their annual report, you will know whether this business is about to die. And then you will know that you don't need to waste time on it. You will know this one is going to be a dinosaur. But we don't do that. Sometimes when I tell my teams, some of them, it will take them time to understand, because I would have explained to some of my guys, they are younger and everybody thinks, so this is a waste of time. I said, no, check them out. I have seen it, but I don't want to tell. I want them to also learn from it. You understand? Instead of just spoon feeding. Because when you know by experience, like Virgil said, experto credite, believe in one who knows by experience. If you know by experience, you'll be able to speak with authority to the client, or even be able to speak with authority to your management to say, sir, or ma, or dear management, I think we should leave this client because they don't have money. They're about to fold and get out of Nigeria the way GSK and Procter & Gamble did. You would have known, because if you are checking them online, you are checking their financial statement, you are checking their global office, and you are hearing what is happening, that, in Singapore, they just closed their office. In Kenya, they have closed. In this place, they have closed. And you are reading why they are closing down. You would then understand that maybe they've sold their business and they're only here to get to Nigeria so they can hand over. Or they are looking for some other local people who will take over the business from them. So they will not spend anything for that country. They won't spend a dime. So you will be working and you'll be getting stressed and getting frustrated. This is actually how you know. That's number one. Number two is that sometimes the brand that they have already reached the point of no return, like it happened to us in Coca-Cola as at 2006. Every year, once it's getting to December, we'll just see that we have turned up 49 million unit cases, as if it was a curse, for 10 straight years. Until we now did research. Our research now showed that the reason why we've been, because they don't want to spend again, they said, we know we'll get this number. Are you getting me? We know that this is the number we'll end the year with. So why do we want to now bother ourselves and spend money and throw the money away? Let's keep the money so that we can at least report a higher bottom line. But I had a wonderful leader then, wonderful woman, and Heart, incidentally, we lost her about two months ago. She's still the best leader that I ever worked with. And Heart had a meeting with me and he said, why don't we have a research? Let's understand what is going on in this market. When we finished the research, you know what research showed us? That we were not improving on our units at that time beyond 49 million unit cases because the people we were advertising to don't drink Coke again. And the new people who are drinking Coke, right, don't actually know the value. They're only drinking it because of the taste. They were not seeing the character. They were not seeing the culture of Coke that we're bringing on. Who are those people who used to drink Coke before? The youth of the past, who have now become adults, who are now drinking spirit and beer. And the new ones who are now drinking, who are the new youths, who have just turned teens, were only drinking it because it was sweet. Or they just feel it is tasty. Meanwhile, they don't understand the culture that led to Coke, that Coca-Cola was actually something that was innovated or created as a digestive agent previously. And when we turned that out and we launched what we call the Coke Side of Life in 2007, I didn't just launch the Coke Side of Life as the way it was globally. We fought for it. I actually had her on my side, making her fight for me to say, you know what, if we are to launch this thing, we need to make it more Nigerianized for the first time. And so finally, Atlanta agreed. We're able to put the cowrie, put beats, had all the, the comb that they used to make hair. We put National Theatre, Aso Rock in most of our campaigns. So it became more emotionally connected to Nigerian youth. And when we learned that, the first time that year, we crossed 53 million unit cases. So you need to understand the peculiarities of the brand. Otherwise, you will keep going to them with ideas, with plans and everything. If you don't understand what their challenges are, maybe they are closing down globally, or they've sold their share to some other new business that's taking them over, like it happened with Lucozade and Ribena, and people are still working with all the strength. Not only that, a different brand, a different Japanese brand have taken the brand over, and it's no longer with GSK. That is the first part you need to understand, and you need to learn well. Check and see their annual reports. It's usually online, and you can take it from their desk in their reception. It's not a hidden thing. That's number one. Number two, confirm their global track. Sometimes read. My team, then I had 2 guys in my team who are doing, they're fantastic people, and especially one of them who is now in Dubai. I trained them to go online and check for my clients, go and do research about them. Find out how they are doing, what they are doing, how they are carrying out these things. And the third one is to be able to know, why are they performing the way they are performing? Is it because they have some peculiar challenge with the market? If you can do those 3 things among many others, you will notice that the client will start adjusting, because what the client wants is always results. Now, let me move on to the next level. You see, that is Oluwatobi's question now. Toby, let me give you these 2 instances quickly. Japanese, I mentioned consumer insight. They are your own consumers now, right? Your client is your customer. Okay? Even though they are brand that you're working for, you are trying to get that brand to the market customers or consumers. Now, because it's your customer, do you know who they are? Do you understand their culture? Do you know their mentality? How many of you people know on this platform that Japanese are the best strategists? To the world, Japanese are very slow, and I'll tell you why they are slow. I have a video. For those of you who may send me a message, I'll send the video to you guys so you can see how they operate. Japanese have one attitude. If you give a Japanese a brief today, even their agency, and you want a feedback in 2 weeks' time, you may not get it until 2 months' time. You know why? Japanese will take time. They don't rush to give you solution. They have the solution already, but you know what? They will now create, they will be looking for the worst case scenario. They can look for 20 worst case scenarios for one small job. What do I mean by worst case scenario? In other words, what will happen that may make this business to fail? What if they share this solution and you launch that solution? They will now ask, what are the possible ways that competition could attack that thing, which I normally call backlash. So, having said this, I want to now tell you how I worked with a particular brand called Techno. 2014, Techno came to our system, and I met the guy. He said to me, his name is Veni. He said, look, they want to kill all their brands. They don't want all the brands again. They want to create new ones. And then I said to him, why do you want to create new brands when you can actually have line extension and then create improvement on the brands and then review the content, look at the passion points of the customers, and you can now relaunch these brands massively? So we came up with an idea, did all the solutions. When I had that thing, I was doing this Sunday, Saturday, all through the week with one of my core team members who is now working with BUA. I pushed her. I'll be honest with you. It may not have been easy for her then, but I'm happy she's in. She now knows why I did those things for her so that she can become a fantastic, professional. We'll work together. We'll look at the thing. I'll be looking at different scenarios of what if we do this? Would this not fail? What if it fails here? How can we make sure that it doesn't break down? Okay? That's why Japanese will not rush to give. You can be working on something for the next 10 days. But the solution to such clients is this. When you are going to them with your answer or your proposal or your recommendations, you know what you need to do? As you are presenting, number one, don't go and present one idea to them. And this is one big mistake a lot of agencies do. Trying to ask for something, you are going to just give them one idea. Give them 3 ideas. Give them what they say they want. Give them what you think they should have, then give them an alternative to what you think that they should have. If you can't do 3, at least do 2. Give them what exactly they said they want and give them what you believe that the market needs. Please don't always go and just give clients something, say, take, that's what you want. That actually is insulting. 1, is insulting. Then number 2, it makes you look like you are incompetent as an agency. They may not tell you, but it's an insult to them. So they will be angry with you because they say they don't want to work with you again. Don't think that the client is being insulted when they say don't come with one idea. You should actually always plan to go with 3 ideas for a client. And when you go with those ideas, look at the different scenarios. Then show them how they will make money, how they will drive sales, how they will increase their bottom line. Advertising is not just so they can make noise and create awareness. If they want to create awareness, they can go and buy different things and create awareness through that. You must always ask yourself, how will this thing fail? What if we launch this today? Another brand now came with the same idea and mess us up. Do you have a backup plan? Do you have a plan B, plan C? Do you have an alternative route where you can say, okay, guys, pull this thing back and throw this one in? That is how Japanese thinks. That was actually what we did for Techno. They never had what you call boom player. That boom player came from these lips that is talking to you today. And then when I did that for them, because they are a fantastic Chinese brand, not only did don't forget that these guys were in the market. You will never near Techno brand before. You will never near Techno brand. Never. You all call it Chinko now. Even if they give you yourself, you will throw it away. But when it was now launched, and we came up with Camon, came up with Boom, we ask ourselves, what are the passion points of these consumers? Okay, at that time, people were already talking about entrepreneurship. People always want to listen to news. People always want to get involved in sports. People love music. People are thinking politics. We now took those key passion points and now turned them into becoming a major thing. We now did research on them and discovered that the most important one of all of them was music. So when we threw in what we call the boom player, and there was this guy, is it Black Eyed Peas? Wanted to use his music before and buy it, but we didn't buy it eventually. So it was boom, boom, boom. You know that music. So that was actually how Boom Player came through. So they bought into it to say this will now compete with iTunes. They now wanted to go and do a deal with Sony, which failed. And then that was how they launched Boom Player as Boom Player. They didn't go with another brand to impute in their own phones again. So they saw that this solution, I was not just giving them for entertainment purpose only. I said you can turn this thing to become money. So those guys I used for Ambody campaign, right? I now brought them on board. We now created what you call Techno on the Stage. So Techno on the Stage, I now took that platform, so it was a karaoke thing. Now took it to Tanzania, took it to Kenya, to East Africa. And by the time we were coming back, the brand was already getting 67% of the market share in East of Africa. Beat Samsung, beat LG, beat all those brands. It went up straight. When we came back to Nigeria, you know what happened to that brand? It has become a likable brand. And then we're now calling all different artists to come and put their platform on it. And then the brand saw that they can make money from that. Show the client the money and see if they will not buy into your idea. That's my solution to you, Oluwatobi. And it's my extension to you, Ifeanyi. And I hope that that has answered your question. Please, can you confirm?
Thank you, sir. Very, 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 very correct. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So I said, think global, be ambitious, and then local. How relevant will it be to your local consumers? And that is actually why I said, let me just share these small statistics. If you look at the one in red, that is digital advertising. It says that digital advertising is growing by 15% when you look at the category average growth rates. The compound annual growth rates year on year from 2020 to 2025. This is actually how it will be growing. If you do the research, that is what is going on already. And I then showed you guys something that is crucial. Item 6. If you want to drive digital engagement, these businesses, these sectors are where you should be looking at. I didn't add one. The one I should add, that should be the 6th one, is gaming. You don't have business not being digital with healthcare. I launched a healthcare brand in telemedicine in 2017 called Dokita 247. Because of regulatory bodies, those guys backed out and they went back to the US. Unfortunately, our government killed them then. and they went back. The automotive industry, the financial services. Imagine there's nothing you can do today without being online. It's got to be mobile. And at least Emefiele showed us Pepe. And we know that we have to be online. The digital goods that we're talking about are not just limited to digital or social media. It is to remember what we showed us just now with Amazon Go. How they started taking things that, you have to be in the mall before you can buy. And when you buy, you need to have people to do it and do that and do that. In your business, your thinking should be in this form. But the way I want you to now look at is number one, imagine the total spend as at 2020 in that industry. How much is your business, your company making from this? How much are you making from it? So if you must make more than what is being presented here, look at number 5 critically and see what happened in number 6 and look at the opportunities that are there in number 8. Internet penetration and access is getting increasing on a daily basis. So these are the kind of, parameters you should use to now drive what you call activation. Any business that is not involved in experiential marketing today, I don't care whatever name you give yourself, whether you say you are XYZ Digital or you are ABC Digital, or you are Amazon Digital, if you are not involved in experiential marketing and as an account management person or what you call client service in some industries, if you don't start thinking that, because your thinking should be innovation that will bring money to your business. Help your MD to be happy. Help your management to feel excited. Show that you are there as a business driver, that they can go and sleep and leave the business for you to manage. I'm going to skip this, and I think I need to wrap up in another couple of minutes. I am going to have to wrap up. If we need to do this again or extend it, Prince will have to make a plan. You guys have to tell him. There's so much I need to go and do. I'm supposed to speak at this book launch, so it's key that I go. All right? And I am not going to talk much on Jumia, but Jumia is one brand that gave me one of those exciting moments of what I just explained to you guys. 2015, these guys came to us. They have been to about 17 agencies. I was shocked. Agencies are just jumping on brief. When they told me 17, I said, what? What are you guys looking for? They said, people are not buying. Their reorder level was very low. It was not improving. So I said, so what is your current reorder level? That's my first question. They told me. The name of the MD then was Jeremy Dute. And then they had a guy who was the marketing director, Jonathan Dwyer. So I now said to him, I'm the one in the arrow there, pointing there. I now said to him, I said, look, you know what? If this is your reorder level, what have you guys been doing already to make sure that people who bought already or who, subscribe to you guys are reordering? What are you doing differently? They mentioned a few things. After saying all of that, I just said to my guys, I said, let's go back to the agency and brainstorm. We brainstormed. Then I asked myself, what are the things that are crucial for an online business like Jumia? It's an e-commerce business. And again, Segun was part of this whole thing. Okay? And I'll tell you one thing that got me, and I think he's one of those who thought I was crazy when I told them what I was going to do. And when I did it and came back, they were shocked. I asked the guys, I said, what will make this business thrive so that it is better than any other ones? At that time, you remember that Konga was a major business. For those of you who may remember, Konga was a real driver. There was another one, I think it's ALX or so. Is it ALX? I've forgotten the name again. You were always on TV 24/7. What did we do? We said people need to have a reassurance that these guys are not scam. We also need to be clear about those who deliver to them. What mentality do they have? We also need to confirm their customer service. How is it like? Did you know, just like I said I did for Ambody then, I had to go to the office and train their customer service. I did it for one day to show them how it should be done, and I left them to keep training themselves. When I was now sure that every base had been covered, was when I now went to meet Jeremy Dute. And I said to him, I said, what is your expected performance that by the time you do this campaign and you run for 3 months, what do you want to see? When you run for 6 months, what are you expecting as a result? The guy said, you know what? They want to see 10% improvement on their reorder level. I said, is that all? He said, yes. I said, what if we can do 20% for you? He looked at me and he said, Joshua, we are the experts in this thing. You can't tell us how this thing works. We cannot do more than 10%. I said, but what if we can do 20%? He said, forget it, it's not possible. I said, okay, let me beg you for one thing. If we're able to do 15%, will you give us 15% of your incremental sales? He looked at me, he said, I should forget it's not possible. I said, okay, what if we do it? That if we don't do it, we will give you 15% of the fee you are paying us back. That was when he took me seriously. I said, but I'm not after 15%. I said, I'm going after 20%. You guys can do 20% of this thing. He now agreed. But you know what he did? I sent him a contract so that I can sign. He didn't sign it. He said, we shouldn't bother, that it's not possible. Lo and behold, we finished this campaign. By the time we are done, they did 38%. Because they made sure that the customer service was now excellent. The delivery service was excellent. They were able to discover the issues around e-commerce, trust issues, payment platforms, everything was discussed, and they managed to make sure those things were done. So what am I saying? Do your research well. Understand the key problems. Your job is a solution provider. If you can solve problem for the client, they will pay for it. This guy didn't pay us the money, but he then paid $20,000 extra. I call it success fee. $20,000 then. He said it's a success fee because he didn't sign any contract. All right? So I need us to understand when I say these things, I'm not just telling you theory. That's why I said when I started, we're going to discuss critical, basic, pragmatic things. Okay? Now, some clients will be difficult. Don't get me wrong. When you have some of those difficult clients, let your MD know because she has a contact to those people so that she can use her office to enter and meet the counterpart on that side. To at least open the door for you to go in. This is a commercial.
I need a great deal, the best price I can get. That's why I shop on Jumia. We've got some orders, fire on all cylinders. We'll not rest until it's packaged and delivered. Do everything it to take. Maybe you know we ain't got time to waste. Customer satisfaction is the way. We're not gonna stop until it's okay. Oh yeah, let's do this. Put our best into this. Online so you can trust. We're not gonna stop until it's okay. From the east to the west, we're going to distance. Put a smile on your face. Yeah. Quality you can trust. You can count on us. It's your word delivery. We make shopping easier. We shop delivery. And you shop on Jumia.
Jumia, the online shop you can trust.
So you see how we put trust, we put customer service, we put package delivery, and we then make sure that that setting itself, I needed to make sure people, when they see it, okay, they will have a sense that there is like over 100, almost 1,000 people as customer service for Jumia. And we needed to use it to drive home to that client also that you must do this to achieve the kind of success you want. Guys, you have to do what you promise. That is how to help the client to move. Remember that your job for them is actually deliver success, deliver excellence, right? I'm not going to play this. This is the Ambode one. I'm going to move on. This is the second one for Ambode. I'll just talk on this and 2 other slides, and then I will call it a day. All right? If we need to do this more, Prince Will, you can engage them afterwards. If we need to do, maybe an extension of it, we can fix another day within the week. Tomorrow or latest by Tuesday, we'll wrap it up. But I have to stop here. Key point I was trying to bring in here is that you are the strategist of the business, and as a solution provider, remember one thing. In account management best practices, you should be asking yourself, how do you help the client to drive growth? You are the growth driver. Okay? How do you help them? So it's not just thinking about just the advert. You need to ask, what can you do to help them achieve success? What can you do to help them achieve success? How can they grow their business? That is why they brought you in. They didn't bring you in just to do advertising for them. They didn't bring you in so that I can just do some TV commercial and make some noise and go. Their focus is that they want to deliver value to their own shareholders, their stakeholders, and they need you to help them achieve that goal. All right? And I will stop here. That as account management person, you're an account planner. And as an account planner, you must act as a business leader. And in acting as a business leader, you must have a strong understanding of the market. Without this, you are not fit to be in that business. You cannot say you are a thorough professional if you don't do these things I've said. Thank you. I'll stop here now. Any question?
Thank you so much, Joshua. Your presentation, it carries so much weight. Like, I have been in lots of presentations and lots of marketing sessions, and I can tell you that this one carry weight. Make I put English, make I put the Igbo for side. This one carry weight.
Thank you, Prince Tue. What I would like to hear,
very impressive.
What I would like to hear with all that you said is that I'm just hoping that these guys will go and make their bosses proud, make their clients proud, make themselves proud when you apply all these things you've said. So it's not just a talk shop.
Exactly. I can trust the caliber of people in this meeting, and I know for someone like Toby, she will make us proud, and I will DM her to get my share.
And when you get the share, just make sure that you're also sending. Toby, make sure that you send my percentage down straight. It's 25% I will take.
No problem, sir. Mr. Joshua, just expect one of these days we'll meet. I don't know how that will happen, but I'm saying it now. So definitely.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
You're welcome.
All right.
Any questions?
Thanks a lot. We very much appreciate the effort that you have put to this presentation and impacting your knowledge on everyone who has attended the session. Thank you all for attending this session. I think we'll have to call it wraps at the moment. If there is any questions regarding this session, joining AdMap, please shoot us an email to hello@admap.com. And I think our members will be getting video recordings and slides for this session. And please shoot us an email if I also need this. Tunji, I think the message is for you to shoot Joshua a WhatsApp message, so he will give you what he promised.
That is Tunji, and I think Oluwatobi, right?
Yeah, Ifeanyi and
so even if it's 10 naira you see as airtime, please put your full name and your network, okay? When you send it to me on the WhatsApp.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
All right.
So I need to take my leave now. No, hold on before you go. Can you do a screenshot? Let's do it. I mean, let everybody on
screenshot your details, right?
Yes. No. I saying let's take a shot online. So you need to get off, put on your video so we can see. Then you can then take a shot of all of us. You get my point? And if it's just for two, we can now do the second one. Can you all get off and let's see our faces and take shots? This is the last class, right? Last session?
Yes.
I don't think there's an option for video here.
Oh, no video option. Are you serious?
I don't think so.
Okay. I get it.
Unfortunately, this is
it's all right. It's okay. All right. So have a great day and take good care of yourself. I see I need to get off now so I can quickly catch up. Cheers.
Thanks. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.